It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Brewdog and it's a can of their 9 to 5 Wizard India Pale Weizen coming in at 7.5% ABV. It's a 330 can and I gotta be honest with you, their branding on some of their cans are just absolutely fantastic. I really like that. I think they put a lot of effort in. And I'm going to put a little bit of a disclaimer in. I had this just the other night on keg in Brewdog and it was really nice. So let's get this can out into a glass and see what we get. Some of you might remember Brewdog did a versus Weizen and that was an India Pale Weizen. But I'm not 100% sure on the ABV of that beer. It was a couple of years now, but I think this can has been influenced by that beer. I remember a couple of years ago really enjoying that beer. I thought they'd absolutely nailed the style. So I'm looking forward to this in the can. I reckon if they could get the branding and the beer perfect in this, they're onto a real winner with this beer. So what do we have in the glass? We have a 1 to 2 finger, slightly off white head. It's a hazy amber coloured ale with slow moving carbonation. Let's get the aroma. Yeah, that smells really good, really good. Bubblegum, clove, coriander, banana, touch of spice, a little bit of hoppiness coming through. Let's dive in. Cheers everybody. I'm gonna put that down. Blimey, when was the last time I did this? Stone the Crows! Stone the Crows, what amazing beer! Well done, Brewdog, well done. I've been your biggest critic lately. I've been a little bit critical of your beers. This, however, is something to behold. This is a really nice beer. It's got a nice body to it. Good levels of carbonation, just to lift that body. Just to lift that body up a little bit. And for it not to be too heavy on the palate, but with it being slightly more dense and kind of, I'm not going to call it creamy. Creamy is the wrong word. Creamy is a word an amateur would use. It's dense and slightly kind of, it's got more body to it than a regular beer. It needs it. It needs to kind of sit on your palate a little bit longer, just to kind of, for all them flavours to be able to really kind of punch out on your tongue and the inside of your mouth, and that's lovely. It's a really nice beer. So from the aroma follows the flavour, the flavours you get in the beer. Ah, yes, coriander, touch of banana, biscuity bread from the malts. Pardon me. It's just so well made. It's got a slight oatiness to it, and I'm saying that because it may be oats that they've used to build the body to the beer, but it's beautiful. It's a really lovely, satisfying feeling to have this beer in your mouth. It's not too thin. It's not too kind of big and bold and thick. It's perfect. Then the flavours, that banana, that clove, that spice, that hoppiness on the back end. Gotta be careful. I need to take a picture of the beer and the can for my thumbnail for the video. If I carry on too much, then I'm going to drink the whole beer. It's one of them beers, 7.5% ABV, but you could neck this. And another important thing about this beer is I've slightly chilled this. with a Weizen, with a Hefeweizen style beer, the beer is kind of driven by the yeast. So the yeast is producing the flavour, or the predominant kind of amount of flavour in the beer. So chilling it will not affect them flavours. As you guys know, below 4 degrees, and some of the hops will get affected by flavour and some of the malts will. But this, I reckon about 7 degrees would be, it's probably about 7 degrees now. It's perfect, perfect. Slightly chilled, full of flavour. I can show you that body, I can show you that mouthfeel. Not from the inside of my mouth, but just look at that carbonation chasing the head up the side of the glass. Look at that. As I rock the beer back and forth. Biscuity, bready wonderfulness mixed with banana and clove and spiciness, and this is a fabulous beer. They've improved this over the Brewdog versus Whitehead Stefan and India Pale Weizen from 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure they've improved it. If it's the same beer, then maybe that I've just taken 2 years between drinking and I've slightly forgotten the beer. But I remember really liking that beer, and I really like this now. Hefeweizens have really grown on my palate. They've really kind of, German beer, Dunkels, Hefeweizens, and all these wonderful beers from Germany have really kind of grown, and I've learned to love these beers. And this, with the hops on the back end, the slight, the touch of mango, the touch of grapefruit and lemon mixed with that banana, clove and spice, and it's coriander. It's beautiful. That is the best beer Brewdog have produced for me in 3 years, easily 3 years. I hope they put this in production full time. I would be an avid buyer of this beer, as long as it's not kind of meddled with and put into the supermarket at a lower ABV, and you're watching this review and it's slightly lower in the ABV, and you're thinking that I'm loving a beer that's not the same anymore. I would hate for that to happen. I think Brewdog's strategy for this beer should be just have it in your bars. I would travel to the Brewdog bar in Cardiff and I would buy this on a weekly basis. This would be a beer that was always in my fridge. So slightly smaller batch. I know Brewdog have got a lot of bars out there, so it's not kind of tiny batch, but slightly smaller batch, and it's not hitting every supermarket that is available in the UK, which they seem to have gone into recently. I'm not going to go into criticising Brewdog. I want to concentrate on this wonderful beer, so I'm going to move on from that subject entirely. I'm going to rate this beer. I think it's wonderful. I think from the branding point of view, they've got it spot on. That is fantastic. From the flavours in the beer, it's just wonderful. The mouthfeel, I can believe, I don't know when the last time I did this with a Brewdog beer, but it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 from Reload Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! And cheers.